Sierra has all the best active and outdoor brands for the super athletic stuff, like running gear for cruising up the trail. Woo! And the super athletic-ish stuff, like fishing gear for chilling by the creek. Nice cast. Fitness apparel to push for higher reps. You got this. And golf balls priced so you can afford to lose one. Or a few. Head to Sierra or Sierra.com for the brands you want at the prices that let you do it all. From athletic to athletic-ish, Sierra's got it.
This is Optimal Health Daily. Why Do Muscle Cramps Happen? By Kate Galliett of fitforreallife.substack.com. And I'm Dr. Neil, your very own personal narrator. This is one of a few shows where we read to you from blogs for free so that you don't have to read them yourself. Except on Fridays, that's where I answer your questions. Remember, you can send in a question by emailing it directly to health@oldpodcast.com. All right, let's jump right in and hear today's post as we optimize your life. Why Do Muscle Cramps Happen? By Kate Galliett of fitforreallife.substack.com. What is a muscle cramp anyways? You know the feeling. You're in the middle of a movement and all of a sudden, your muscle locks up in a ball. Or you're laying in bed at night and move just so, and your calf cramps intensely. There are muscle cramps that come from having a deeper issue, like metabolic myopathy or a peripheral nerve disorder. Those are outside the realm of this conversation. Now, you might be cramping because you have a sodium or magnesium imbalance. This can be especially true if your diet is not nutrient-rich, or if you're an athlete who expends a high volume of sweat during training without proper replenishment. But salt or magnesium levels are not the instigator for many muscle cramps. Lawrence Z. Stern and Charles Bernick write in their book, Clinical Methods, quote, "Normal voluntary motor activity depends on the functional integrity of not only the motor unit, comprising a lower motor neuron and the muscle fibers it innervates, but also the descending and spinal excitatory and inhibitory circuits that influence it. Cramps may result from malfunction at various points in the pathway." End quote. Put another way, your body does not know how to fire the tissue in that position, and what's akin to neurological confusion occurs, causing the nervous system to send extra input to the area. Put still another way, sometimes a new signal to your nervous system makes your nervous system act like a kindergarten student who's experiencing glitter for the first time during arts and crafts. They're all in, and then some. Why you cramp up. Cramps often happen because your nervous system doesn't know how to use the tissue in whatever position you put it in, and so it sends lots of signals to the tissue, and the cramp occurs. Frequently this happens when your muscle is already in a shortened position, and then you ask it to fire in that position. You may not have asked the foot to cramp while laying in bed, but it's very likely that in the bed scenario, your foot was already pointed forward in plantarflexion, shortening the muscles on the bottom of your foot. And then any movement thereafter caused you to flex your foot muscles and boom, cramp city in the bottom of your foot. Over the years, there have been certain movements and drills I teach my clients that tend to create a cramp in their tissue the first few times they do it. And as I've continued my education into understanding the nervous system, tissues, and their role in mobility and movement, I've learned many more drills that induce cramps in the early days of performing them. I've experienced plenty of my own cramps and been front and center to many clients and training partners experiencing cramps as well. And here's what I've realized. Most folks really do not understand cramps or how to deal with them at all. And this lack of understanding is holding you back from really moving well. Here are 3 things about cramps that you need to know. 1. You cramp because your brain and body aren't communicating well yet, and you can change that. 2. You cramp because this position is new for your body, and you can work with that. And 3. You cramp because you actively avoid certain positions that hint at being cramp-inducing, and thus revert your body to the previously mentioned numbers 1 and 2. How to improve your response to cramps. To become someone who does not experience cramps when you try to fire your tissues in a certain way, you must teach your nervous system how to better communicate with your tissues. To do this, you must put yourself in an environment rich with neurological learning. Here are 3 things you can do to improve your neurological learning. 1. Explore how to use your tissues in their end ranges. The first time you place your hip muscles into their shortest range and send neurological input to them in the form of firing the muscles in the hip, you will likely feel all too well just how new this experience is for your body. That is to say, welcome to Cramp City. But the 500th time, when you move into that position and your body says, "Oh, we know this position well, and we know just what to do here," the cramp will not appear. Put simply, you must explore the entire range of your joints and tissues, not just the middle, not just one position. 2. Teach your tissue how to manage a new position by going into that position and improving your capacity in that position. Once your tissue can go into these new positions as you've been exploring the full range of your joints and tissues, then you must increase your ability to function in that position. Having someone push your hips into a stretch does not serve to educate your nervous system. The nervous system itself needs to be able to get into and work with that position. Can you keep the rest of your body more stable as you move around this new position? Can you expand the range that you have control over in this new position? Can you increase the complexity and integrate two joints moving at the same time instead of allowing only one joint to function? And 3, understand that there isn't any one input that will change tissue immediately. To adapt and influence your tissue, you will need frequent, long-duration directional force inputs. Your posture doesn't turn into slouched, slumped adult overnight. Teach your anatomy the forces and signals you want it to respond to by showing it those forces and signals regularly. And then remember, this process of teaching your body how to communicate better with its tissues takes time and repetition. You wouldn't study a new language once a week for 30 minutes and think you're going to ever become fluent in the language. Why would you only teach your body how to use your tissue in these new and expanded ways in a similar manner, spending time on it once per week for a short duration? The holistic approach to handling cramps. This section could also be titled the woo approach to handling cramps, or the self-empowerment approach to handling cramps. Here's what it definitely is. Mental strengthening. Something that is vitally important to develop if you're to handle muscle cramps, the ups and downs of life, and all the other stuff that makes up your life as a human. I'm now going to share with you the thought process I use when I sense a muscle cramp coming on. This process helps me not only handle the cramp with greater ease, it helps me stay focused on the work at hand. When you experience a muscle cramp, your initial reaction is to get away from the cramp, to make it stop, to tense your body in the hopes of mitigating the cramp. These things do not work. When you squirm and fight the sensation of a cramp, you're trying to hold on to control, and in doing so, you are avoiding the chance to tap into open, focused, meditative qualities of the cramping experience, running from the very thing you need to improve, and letting go of your power. As Alan Watts says so well in this brief excerpt of one of his talks, quote, "Anytime you voluntarily let up control, cease to cling to yourself, you have access to power. You're wasting energy in self-defense, trying to manage things, trying to force things to conform to your will. The moment you stop doing that, that wasted energy is available." End quote. So the next time you find yourself wanting to hold on to control, fighting against the cramps instead of going with them, try this instead. Notice the cramp coming on. Inhale slowly, deeply, as long as you can. Notice where you're starting to tense up as the cramp arrives and see if you can let go of the tension. Exhale slowly, fully, as long as you can. Remind yourself, it's just a cramp, and that's okay. Everything is good here. Remain connected to what's happening. See if you can stay where you are while the cramp happens and experience that, hey, it's really not so bad to sit through a cramp. I've been able to do this through very intense and more moderate cramps. My clients have been able to do it, and I'm certain you can too. Remember, on the other side of Cramp City is a body that is more knowledgeable about itself, tissue that functions better, and a confidence in yourself to know that you can go through discomfort and come out the other side just fine. You just listened to the post titled, "Why Do Muscle Cramps Happen?" by Kate Galliett of fitforreallife.substack.com, and I'll be right back with my commentary. Right now, there's a talented person out there who could take your company to the next level. Do you want to hope they see your job post before your competitors? Or do you want to match with them with Indeed sponsored jobs? Stop struggling to get your job post even seen on other sites. Give your job the best chance to be seen with Indeed sponsored jobs. When I was looking to hire, it was so slow and overwhelming. I wish I had used Indeed. Spend more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results now with Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/health. Just go to Indeed.com/health right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/health. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Do it the right way with Indeed. On longer flights, my legs usually aren't feeling too great. I'm sure you know the feeling. They can feel heavy, achy, and completely stiff. Compression socks I've tried in the past were basically plastic bags and super sweaty. But Hollow socks are much more comfortable. Their performance compression socks are made from ultra-soft baby alpaca fiber. The graduated compression is snug at the ankle and gently tapers up your leg, so everything just feels supported without that suffocating squeeze. They're 3 times more breathable, so no more swamp feet on long flights or 12-hour shifts. You can actually keep them on all day. Plus, they're made in the USA with over 2 million pairs sold. For a limited time, Hollow Socks is having a buy 2, get 2 free sale. Head to hollowsocks.com today to check it out. That's hollowsocks.com for up to 50% off your order. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them, and you can support our show and tell them we sent you. Dr. Neil here for my commentary. When today's author, Kate, was describing the sensations we experience when we're in the middle of a muscle cramp, it definitely brought back some painful memories. I still remember experiencing a particularly nasty muscle cramp when I was on the swim team. It was the beginning of practice, and we were just swimming some warm-up laps, and that's when my left foot decided to cramp up. It was so painful, it felt like my entire leg went numb. And since I was in the middle of a deep pool when it happened, I started to panic. Using just my arms and one of my legs, I had to force myself to paddle to the side of the pool while dodging my teammates where I could catch my breath and try and relieve the cramping. And again, just as Kate described, when I panicked and tried to control the situation, the pain seemed much worse. It definitely did not help. Once we accept the fact that we're experiencing a muscle cramp, researchers are finding that gently stretching the cramping muscles can help. In fact, a meta-analysis found that the fastest, safest, and most effective treatment is gentle stretching. The researchers specifically found that static stretching, where we gently hold the stretched position for 15 to 30 seconds, usually provides the most relief. So the next time you experience a muscle cramp, take a deep breath, acknowledge it, and then gently stretch that muscle by holding it in the stretched position for 15 to 30 seconds. And hopefully that will bring some quick relief. All right, that'll do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening and being a subscriber or follower of the show. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for another Friday Q&A and where your optimal life awaits.